Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and today's video is going to be the best Dark Willow build for patch 7.38c. So the first thing we're going to talk about is that we're going to be taking Throwing Shade as the facet. Now you could take the other facet, but it's just not as good. This is just more reliable damage to just have more damage when you're in Shadow Realm, and combining that with Bedlam makes your Bedlam do ridiculous amounts of damage. Like level 6, once you finally get this, combining that last hit from Shadow Realm and the Bedlam damage, you can pretty much kill any hero solo just by yourself. If you get them in a Bramble Maze, you will kill them. With any other kind of damage or follow-up stun from an ally, it's just going to be overwhelming amounts of damage. It's just more reliable overall, where the other one, it requires a lot of team play and a lot of stuff during the stun of the Cursed Crown, and that's just not going to be as reliable, as good. It is okay. The win rates are pretty even, honestly, but just this one is more popular and just more reliable overall. Then for starting items, we're going to have 2 sets of tangos, a blood grenade, a sentry, an observer ward combo, magic stick, and 2 branches. So our inventory is going to look something like this. We could potentially mix in an enchanted mango if we wanted, but honestly, supports are going to have an inventory that looks a lot like this early on, starting off with a magic stick. It's so good. I just keep mentioning this in all of my build videos. And then having a bunch of tangos, because this hero really wants to trade. You're a ranged hero, your attack animation is pretty good. You just want to go in and just click them, click them, click them. And then if they try to turn on you, once you have level 2 with Shadow Realm, you can just use this for extra damage. You can obviously use this to stun them, to prevent them from retreating, to prevent them from chasing you. So you just want to have these extra tangos in there to just use a ton so that you can get out a lot of your right clicks. But you are pretty squishy early on, so that's another reason why you just want a lot of tangos. If you don't need to use them, you can always feed them to your carry as well, or your offlaner. Then from there, early game, you're going to be getting a Magic Wand, boots, and then eventually Tranquil boots. You are going to have an inventory that looks something like this, probably getting rid of the tangos and such, and then obviously getting another Windlace. You can use this Windlace or this Ring of Regen early before you get the boots. Maybe you want the boots pretty early as well. You can finish the Magic Wand first, then go boots, or go straight for boots. It just depends on what you really need at the moment, because you're going to be buying sentries, maybe more regen, that kind of stuff. It just depends, obviously, on every game and how it works out. But this is going to be your inventory right here for the most part. In most games, you're going to be going for Tranquil boots almost every game. This hero isn't really that mana starved compared to a lot of other supports, because you don't have a ton of wave clear options. Your spells don't cost a ton of mana, so you really just want the Tranquil boots, because right-clicking and getting up in people's faces even once you hit 6 is something you're going to be doing a lot more. You're pretty squishy, so you just want these Tranquil boots to be able to stay on the map a lot more often. And so I don't even have mana boots as an option here, because it's not even really something you're going to be doing a lot in most games. Tranquils are just better on the hero overall. Then from there, Yule's Scepter is a must-have on this hero. It's basically the default item that you're going to be buying every single time. That's because you can combine this with Cursed Crown. You can set up your Bramble Maze. It's just so much better to have this as a way to set up your spells by yourself, not relying on your allies to have a stun first or whatever, or relying on yourself to hit Bramble Maze. So having this as a setup, it's also great, obviously, for yourself, for getting out of jail free, for just dispelling silences, all that kind of stuff. It can be great in all these different situations. So that's why Yule's is just a must-have on the hero. And then in terms of core items, you're going to want to get the shard, hopefully for free, but it is a good enough shard that you want to get it almost every single game, even if you have to buy it yourself. And then blink, just to put yourself in a better position to get in and out of the fights, because you do need to be in melee range to do a lot of your damage. That's not necessarily meaning that you want to blink in every single fight, but in order to get into the range to use Bedlam, you do need to have blink, usually later on, so that you can use it to its most effectiveness once people have more mobility, more items, that kind of stuff. Waiting around for BKBs to go down, then jumping in, using your spells, that is something you definitely want to be doing on this hero. You can even use blink to set up with blink Yules and then all of your spells, so having blink on the hero is really a core part of Dark Willow. And then from there, you're probably going to be buying Glimmer Cape, Force Staff, or even Pavis and Solar Crest, maybe even a Ghost Scepter before you even get blink. So even though Yules and blink are part of the core of this hero's item build, you aren't really going blink until you probably have at least one of these defensive items, just because they are so good in a lot of different games, not only for yourself, but for your allies. So you don't just want to be going straight greedy Yule's Scepter blink, although you can if you feel like you don't need one of these items. In 90% of games, you're going to be going for one of these items before you get the blink. Then from there, we're transitioning into the late game. So let's say we have a Glimmer Cape here, and this is our inventory. Now we can start building it out with just luxury items. We can go for Boots of Bearing if we want, obviously, because we have the Tranquils just sitting there. We could totally complete that. We could complete a Wind Waker, or we could go for Scythe, or Octarine Core, so we can have an inventory that's something like this, which is super defensive and obviously spamming our spells and just helping our team out with the lockdown, with the Boots of Bearing, with the Glimmer Cape, save with the Wind Waker. This is an inventory that you could totally have ultra late game on the hero, but you could also go for a more greedy late game kind of item build, which is incorporating Ag's Scepter to make yourself more of a right clicker if you really feel like damage is what you need on the team. That is something you can do. Now, it's a little bit awkward. I kind of put it last on the late game items because it is good to have it eventually as the game goes super ultra late, but it is one of those weird things where you'd rather have it earlier, but it is very, very greedy to get it super early because you do want all three of these items plus probably a defensive item. So that's why it's a little bit awkward, but you can go greedy. You can decide to go into Ags, maybe like third item, and then transition into a right click hero. That is a possibility, but it is a little bit grief at times. So just keep that in mind. Then from there, we have situational items like Hand of Midas. Again, kind of griefing, but going super greedy. You're probably going to go for the right-click items like Ag's Scepter if you do go Hand of Midas, and you can totally do this as a support, but it is pretty greedy. But this hero doesn't really have the best way to clear through waves, so going Midas is definitely a possibility. I've seen people pick up Pipe on the hero because a lot of times these days supports are picking up Pipe. You can do that just for your team, but you'd probably rather get some of these other items, but in some games this is pretty good. Then we can go Spirit Vessel just in specific games against like more for other heroes like Necro that you really need it, but it's not a super popular item right now, so you're not going to get it a lot. Lotus Orb is really good on the hero. It's just a situational item. These other luxury items are better, plus you're going to get these standard items, but if there was one situational item that you'd be buying a lot, I think it is Lotus Orb. This is a very good item in that mid portion of the game in a lot of different situations, especially for yourself if you're getting going on a lot, or on your allies just to help them push without so much threat or dispelling them. That could be very good. You could potentially go Aether Lens. This is obviously good for your magic damage, but it just doesn't synergize as well with your right click here from Shadow Realm, and Ags is just a better damage item. Aeon Disc, if you're just really needing to survive that one volley of spells from like, I don't know, a Faceless Void or something, or they're just jumping you with one thing and you just need to survive that. Lincoln's is a super luxury item. You can even put it on your cores if you need to, but you'd probably rather go Lotus Orb. And then these items are all the right-click items if you're going Ags. If you're going like Midas Ags, you could totally do that, but again, super greedy. Going for Witchblade, that's the standard right-click item. Obviously into Parasma later. Going Daedalus is the other one. Combining like Ags, Witchblade, Daedalus, that's like the typical kind of right-click items that you're going to be buying on this hero. You could go Silver Edge if you wanted. You could go Moonshard just to increase the attack speed. And then Rod of Atos into Gleipnir. You can totally go this even kind of as a support, not even a right-click build. But again, we'd rather have these other items. So that's why it's here. It's not the best for the hero. You just rather have set up with Yule's Scepter and stuff like that. Then in terms of the skill build, level 1, it's pretty simple. You're going to be going for Bramble Maze every single time. And then level 2, we're going Shadow Realm. You're going to have these two spells as your first two spells pretty much every single game. There's really no exception. Bramble Maze is just great for harassing for the runes, and then this is great for getting out of trouble in the lane or doing extra harass damage to the enemy. Then from here, we have a little bit of a decision to make. We could potentially max out Shadow Realm early, but I think the standard way of doing it is to max out Bramble Maze first, then go for Curse Crown, at least one level in both of these, maxing out the Bramble Maze, getting your 6 in your ultimates, and then having this as your skill build once we hit level 7. That's pretty standard. But then regardless of whether or not we max Bramble Maze or Shadow Realm, we're going to max the other one next. So this is pretty much going to be your skill build for the most part, and then maxing out Cursed Crown last, getting your ultimate whenever you can. And the last thing I would add is that some people decide not to get Cursed Crown until much later. You know, they just want to max out these two spells as quickly as possible. That definitely is a possibility. It's something some people do on the hero, but I think having 1 point in this is just good enough that we want to have this. Plus, we want to have it if we do get that shard at 15 minutes, if we do the Tormentor and we get that. So having this at least one level in it is going to be good at level 4. Then lastly, in terms of the talent tree, we're going to be going for the right talent plus 1 second Bedlam duration pretty much every single game, because plus 10 intelligence is just like whatever. I mean, mana pool and a little bit of damage, I mean, that's fine, but it's just the 1 second Bedlam is just so much better. And then because of that, level 15, we're going to be going for the plus 30 Bedlam damage, which is obviously good with the level 10 talent. And then the Curse Crown AoE, I mean, that can be annoying against a lot of melee enemies or something if they're bunched together, but does that really have much impact? Not really. We'd rather go for the damage, especially since we have that increased duration. Then level 20 is really the one where you can go 50-50 either way. Most people are picking by just a small margin, the plus 1.5 second Shadow Realm duration. That can be good, obviously, if you are getting an Ags later. If you're going for the more greedy build, you should probably go that. But for the most part, if you feel like that doesn't really have much to do with what you're doing, like, yes, the extra survivability might be a little bit nice, but you know, it's not really a consideration, and you're using your Bramble Maze way more. You're just being a nuisance in the fights way more. That's your role this game. You definitely want to be going for the -7 seconds Bramble Maze cooldown. So it depends on your build and what style you're in, and kind of if you even plan to go Ags ever. So that is kind of the 50-50 talent here. And then at level 25, we're going for +2 Bedlam attack targets pretty much every time, just increasing our damage. That 500 terrorize impact damage just is not good at all, really, especially at this late portion of the game as support. So having the +2 Bedlam attack targets is going to be very, very good. Now, honestly, maybe at 25, you feel like you're never going in and using Bedlam, so maybe you could get the 25 on the other side, but it's just not nearly as popular, not nearly as good. You probably would just rather have the 2 Bedlam attack targets. And that, everyone, is the Dark Willow build for patch 7.38c. As always, guys, if you liked the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.